So tell me, what's the first thing you think of when someone says, I'm going to demolish that building? You probably see an excavator, a dump truck, and maybe an hour's worth of work. We got nice flat level ground to do whatever we want to do with it. Well, look at it. It looks like it should have been burnt down 12 years ago when I bought this abandoned house. And honestly, that would probably be the quickest and easiest way to get rid of this little building. And as ugly as the thing looks, that's never leaked, and we've used it for storage of all kinds of things. Now it's time for it to go. The reason it's got to go, my wife wanted a 2-car garage right here in this corner, and that shop is in the way. The tree is in the way. It's got to come out too, so we can make room for my wife's new garage. Now you're not going to see a dump truck or an excavator or this thing get torn down in 1 hour. And the reason for that, as ugly as the outside of this looks, the inside has great lumber in it. Now I know what you're thinking. With all the building videos on the cabins out in the woods and on your off-grid property, on your abandoned property, why do I want to watch somebody tear something down? I'll answer that question for you. Now maybe you're a young man or woman, or possibly a well-seasoned one like me. You've just went out and bought your first piece of off-grid property, and you're chomping at the bit to get something on there, a small cabin, something you want to be there so you can get started. You can start working on that place. But you just put a big down payment on it, you're making monthly payments. You really don't have the funds to go out and spend a bunch of money on lumber to get something going. This is one way that may help you. Maybe you know somebody's got an old dilapidated building on their property they want gone. You walk in and take a look at it, and there's some pretty good lumber in that thing. Well, the last thing you want to do is burn it to the ground or bulldoze it down. You can go in there and take a couple of ladders, take a crowbar, take a hammer, take your time. You can start taking that thing apart, and you can salvage all the good lumber that's in there. There's nothing wrong with used lumber. You pull the nails out of it, and it's great. Reusing it doesn't hurt a thing. Maybe you could put an ad in your local paper out there where you bought your property and say, hey, I've got a pickup truck and I will demolish your old buildings. Call me for a price. You could go out there, take a look at it, give them a price to demolish the building, and then also you have that lumber that you can save, the good stuff, to build something that you want yourself. Now I'm not saying tear down a 2-story house. I'm talking about these little buildings like this, and there are a lot of them where you see them start to be a little dilapidated, they're not being used. You go talk to the owner and say, hey, I can remove that building. Give them a price. Maybe they don't have money for a price, but maybe the inside of that building is pretty good shape. Maybe there's a lot of good stuff. Well, do it for labor cost. Take the building materials with you, and there you go, you got to start. And a little bit of your labor can save you a lot of money. That's why I'm taking this apart. There's good salvageable lumber in it. Why not use it? So what I'm going to do is what the military calls a surgical strike. I'm going to tear this down piece by piece. I can use these materials at my off-grid property in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan for different little projects I have to do around there. The first thing I'm going to do is clean this thing out, put it in its proper place in another area, and then I can go inside and start tearing this thing down. And just like that, the emptying and cleaning part of this job, it's over. One thing that will save you aggravation, whenever you pull shingles off a roof, make sure you have a tarp underneath. Not only will it catch your shingles, But I'll guarantee you, if you don't do this, your car tires, trailer tires, lawnmower tires, they'll be finding those roofing nails for years to come. When you're doing a shingle tear off on the roof of a building, here's a tool that comes in very handy. Once those shingles hit the ground, or your tarp if you're smart, you're going to need to pick them up, put them in the garbage, but there will always be nails. These are two types of magnets. This is a rolling magnet, will pick nails up off the ground. And this other magnet, a little bit different. I like this one better for what I'm doing. I like this one over here for picking up nails out of a driveway. I like this one for picking up nails when I'm working and watching the area they fall in. This has aluminum on either side, but there's a huge magnet in here. It's got a little pull handle that goes all the way through. I'll show you how this works. You can see these nails right here. You can see all these nails stuck to the bottom of it. You come on over to the garbage can and just pull that handle, and they release all the nails into the trash. This is the one I've been using. It works pretty good for this application because I can see every nail that's on that tarp. And this is a good reason why you walk through this with one of these push magnets on wheels after you clean a roof. All these could have ended up in your lawnmower tire or your truck tire, so it's always a good idea to put a tarp down, pick the nails off the tarp, and then run through it with a push magnet and get what's left. Well, I'm going to start removing this roof sheathing. There's still some tar paper and some nails up above. I've got a tarp down below. If any of those come out while I'm hammering on this, they should land on the tarp and I can pick them up with my magnets. When you're tearing off this roof sheathing, there's all kinds of nails sticking through it. Be just a little bit more careful than I'm being. It's really easy to hit your head on it or have it scratch you and puncture your skin. And these old rusty nails really aren't good for your skin, so be careful. Hey guys, another morning, a different day. These are typically the tools that you would use for tearing apart a building like this. And I have been using them. But I've also been using this nice large rock bar with a wedge on it to get behind the siding and pull it off the shear wall. Works great. Now I thought I'd be able to save some of this OSB shear wall. It doesn't really appear that I can. I've got to take this off, and I got to thinking, rather than walk around with a small hammer and a couple of bars, I would try this. This is a post pounder. This is what you use for putting in fence. It's got this weighted end and it's kind of hefty. It's probably 30 pounds or so. Hey, how many cop movies have you watched where they used a battering ram just like this to break down a door? So I thought, you know what, I'm going to give this a try and see if I can take this shear wall off these 2x4s with a post pounder. So let's see. Well, it's loosening up. Seems to be working pretty well. It's pulling these nails right on out. Well, I got all that roof sheathing and the siding off yesterday, and I came out here this morning and this is laying on its side like this. And we had a pretty strong wind last night and it laid this down for me. That's actually a good thing. It's going to make it easy for me to take it apart. The only thing I got to be careful of is it pulled the 2x4s out of the bottom plate, and I got a bunch of nails sticking up. We just don't want to step on those. 2x4s did not get all busted up, so that's a good thing. So let's get in there and finish tearing this down. Well, for the most part, I've got this building pretty much tore down. As far as total time, I have about 10 hours in this. I worked a couple hours each day for about 5 days. One of the followers of my YouTube channel, Robert, asked me, are you gonna salvage or do anything with that old cabin that's on the property that I bought? And I told him, yeah, there's a lot of good 2x4s and 2x8s in that thing. There's no reason in not tearing it down carefully and using those for other projects on the job. That can save you hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars by reusing materials. Salvaging material is always a good thing. There's lots of good doors, lots of good windows, lots of good lumber out there, and sometimes a drive down the road and a little bit of talking with one of the neighbors will help you find it. I hope this video was informative and helpful to you, and maybe put some ideas in your head on how to save a little bit of money if you want to build some projects. And I appreciate everybody that's subscribed to this channel. And if you're watching it and not subscribed, if you like what I do, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and go check out some of my other stuff. I like to do things with a grateful spirit, an adventurous heart, and just a willingness to try something different. In the end, I know who's ultimately in charge, so I leave it in his hands. Thanks again for watching. Make your life an adventure, and God bless.